You know, sometimes you reach a point where you just snap. After years of being treated like an ATM and a scapegoat, I finally realized my own family was actively sabotaging my life, all to protect their golden child. And when they came begging, trying to pull the ultimate manipulation, I decided enough was enough. This is a story of how I brought their entire house of cards crashing down. Let's rewind a bit, back to when I was just 16. My parents? They were big believers in tough love, but only for me. My younger brother, Jason, he was special. He was the baby, the prince, the one who could do no wrong. Me? I was basically their unpaid servant. When that 16th birthday rolled around, I got the big speech. Responsibility, they said. What that really meant was, we're not paying for anything anymore. Clothes? My problem. Phone? My problem. Even snacks outside of their 3 sad meals a day? All on me. If I wanted anything at all, I had to get a job. So I did. Not just one, but 2. One minimum wage job wouldn't even cover it. I went to school all day, then straight to a fast food joint in the evenings, and spent my weekends slinging clothes at a retail store. It was grueling, it sucked, but I did what I had to do. Meanwhile, Jason, he was living the dream, sitting on his butt all day, glued to video games, complaining if dinner wasn't exactly what he wanted. He never had to lift a single finger. I brought up once, just one time. I asked my parents, why doesn't Jason have to get a job? Why isn't he expected to help around the house? Why does he get free spending money when I'm breaking my back? And their response? It hit me like a ton of bricks. He deserves to be taken care of. He deserved it. Like I wasn't also their kid. Like I wasn't also struggling. That was the exact moment I saw my place in their world. Below Jason. Below their expectations. And definitely nowhere near their idea of fairness. Fast forward a few years. The second I turned 18, I was out. I've been squirreling away every single penny, and I managed to snag a tiny, run-down apartment with a roommate. It wasn't much, but it was mine. My parents barely even noticed I left. No help, no support, not even a real goodbye. And Jason? He just shrugged, still living his consequence-free life. I cut contact for a while. I needed to build my own life, far away from their chaos. I worked my tail off, climbed the ladder, and eventually found myself financially stable. I wasn't rich, but I was doing well. Jason, of course, was still at home, still jobless, still mooching, still deserving to be taken care of. Then, out of absolutely nowhere, they reached out. Years of silence, and suddenly my phone was blowing up. Calls, texts, voicemails. It started innocently, hey, how have you been? But quickly escalated to, we need to talk. When I finally answered, I was hit with the most dramatic, over-the-top sob story I had ever heard. My dad had lost his job. My mom was battling serious health issues. They were barely making ends meet, on the verge of losing the house. Mom was practically on her deathbed. They needed help. Urgent financial help. At first, I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I started asking questions. What exactly was wrong with Mom? What specifically happened with Dad's job? Why they tried before calling me? And the kicker, was Jason working now? Silence. Awkward fumbling. Weak excuses. Then, the truth started leaking out. Dad lost his job, sure, but he was on unemployment and just didn't feel like getting another one. Mom's health problems? Nothing life-threatening, just normal aging stuff, wildly exaggerated for dramatic effect. And Jason? Oh, Jason was still not working. He was in his mid-20s now, still living off them, still mooching. They didn't need my help because they were desperate. They needed it because they wanted to keep living their lives exactly as they always had, without responsibility, without consequences, and, God forbid, without Jason having to lift a damn finger. That was the moment everything snapped into crystal clear focus. They didn't care about me. They didn't care about the years I struggled. They didn't even care about fairness. They just saw I was doing well and thought, perfect. Our other kid can bankroll us now. And that's when I made my decision. I was still on the phone, listening to their rehearsed sob story, and with every word, my disgust grew. They weren't even trying to hide their manipulation. It was blatant. They were trying to guilt-trip me into giving them money so they could continue their entitled, lazy existence. They didn't care about me. They didn't care about my sacrifices. It was all about what they could get from me. When I stayed silent for a beat too long, they started to get desperate. We don't know what we're going to do, honey," my mom's voice cracked. "We might lose the house. You know how much we've sacrificed for you. You owe us." Owe them. The sheer audacity. I was the one who sacrificed everything. I worked 2 jobs in high school, while Jason played video games and lived rent-free. I sacrificed my entire teenage years to support them. And this was how they saw it. I couldn't help myself. I scoffed. "Oh, I owe you." There was a long, stunned pause. "Well, yes," my mom continued, her voice now a little firmer. "You've been on your own for so long, and we've always supported you in our own way. But with everything happening, we really need some help." I stayed calm, even though my blood was boiling. My heart hammered in my ears. "I'm not sending you money," I said flatly. "You've had plenty of time to prepare. You didn't care when I was working my ass off just to get by. You didn't care when I was struggling, and you still made me pay for everything. But now that you need something, you think I owe you?" Silence. I could hear them whispering in the background, probably strategizing. I wasn't budging. But then, just when I thought they might back off, Jason's voice cut through the line. "Hey, what's up, sis?" The nerve. I try to keep my tone neutral. "Not much. Just telling Mom and Dad I'm not sending money." Jason chuckled. "Come on, it's not like they're asking for much. Just a little help, right?" My frustration built, but I held on. "Yeah, and last time I checked, you're an adult too, Jason. Maybe you should step up and help them out." Jason's laugh died. "Oh, come on. I'm the baby of the family. You know they've always taken care of me. Why are you so upset?" "Because you're 26 years old and still living at home, doing absolutely nothing. It's time to grow up." I snapped. A long pause. Then Jason muttered, "Whatever. You're just being selfish." It wasn't about me being selfish. It was about me finally standing up for myself. But of course, Jason wouldn't get that. "Yeah, I guess I'm just selfish for not wanting to keep paying for their laziness," I said, the sarcasm dripping from my voice. That's when my mom jumped back in. "It's not like that, sweetie. We just need a little help. Okay? You don't have to give us everything, just a little something. Please, we're your family." That family card again. "No, Mom," I said, my voice getting colder now. "You're right. I don't have to give you anything. But you know what? I'm going to make this easy for you. Since you've always been so generous with Jason, I think you'll have no problem continuing to support him. Let him take care of you for once." A moment of stunned silence. I could practically hear their brains short-circuiting. Finally, my mom's voice cracked. "Sweetie, you're being unreasonable. You can't just abandon us like this. We've always been there for you." That was it. I couldn't take another word. "You were never there for me." I practically yelled. "You never supported me. I've been taking care of myself for years. And I'm done being the one to pick up the pieces every time you mess up. So no, I'm not sending money. And I'm not going to be your backup plan anymore. You'll have to figure it out, just like I did." Another long pause. I heard Jason arguing with my mom in the background. My mom tried to reason with me, but I wasn't hearing it. "Please don't do this," she pleaded. "We're your parents. We took care of you when you were younger. Can't you help us now?" I sighed. I was done. Done with the manipulation. Done with the guilt trips. "No, you had your chance," I said, my voice firm. "You've made your choices. Now you get to live with them." Silence on the other end for what felt like an eternity. Then Jason started whining. "What is wrong with you? Why are you acting like this? You're family, and you're just going to leave us high and dry." I didn't even reply. I just hung up. That was the last straw. The very next day, I checked my bank account. There it was. A small, barely noticeable charge. A couple $100 from my parents' bank account. A charge I never authorized. The audacity. I called them again. No answer. So I emailed, demanding an explanation. The email I got back? Classic. A flimsy excuse about a misunderstanding, how they didn't realize they were using the wrong account. Of course it was a lie. They had just taken the money, thinking I wouldn't notice. At that point, I knew I had to take things further. I wasn't going to let them get away with it. But what could I do to really make them feel the weight of what they'd done? To make them understand, I wasn't just some bank account to dip into. I was staring at my phone, reading that email. Misunderstanding, my ass. They knew exactly what they were doing. My rage was barely contained. The small charge, a couple $100, had magically appeared in their account. At first, I couldn't grasp how they'd even access my money. I was so careful. Then it hit me. Years ago, during one of those rare family bonding moments, my mom had asked if I could link my card to their account in case of emergencies. You know, the kind of emergency where they could borrow money and forget to pay it back. I, naive fool that I was, had agreed, trusting them. It was supposed to be for emergencies only, but let's be real, nothing in their world ever stayed an emergency. I should have known better. I had kept it linked, mainly for situations where I needed to pay for something not easily accessible through my own funds, like a last-minute flight or an urgent repair. But I've been crystal clear, it wasn't for their personal spending. Yet there was. They'd found some loophole in their banking system, pulling money from my linked account using their own credentials. They've been doing this for months. I hadn't caught it earlier because I wasn't scrutinizing every tiny transaction. But now, seeing it, I realized how deep they'd gone into my finances. That initial charge? Probably just a test. A small amount to see if I'd notice. And of course I had. I felt violated. And stupid. I sat there for a long time, staring at that charge, my blood boiling. They had crossed the line when I wasn't going to let them get away with. I decided to call them, but not to give them another chance to lie. I was done with the soft approach. It was time to turn the tables. Ring, ring. My mom picked up. Before she could even say hello, I went straight for the jugular. Mom, I said, my voice shaking but controlled. I noticed a charge on my account. I need you to explain it. A pause. I heard papers rustling, her scrambling for an excuse. HM? I don't know what you mean, honey. What charge? I clicked the email open, pulling up the exact details. The one where you took $250 from my account. I know what you did. My mom's voice instantly turned defensive. That was just a mistake. We didn't mean to, it was for the house repairs, remember? We needed help paying for it, and we thought. No, you didn't. I cut her off, refusing to let her wriggle out of it. You didn't ask me for permission. You just took it. You've been using my account without my knowledge. How long has this been going on? Mom started stuttering, tried to shift the blame. Well, it's not like you need all that money anyway. You're doing fine. And Jason has been struggling. He's the one who needed the money. We didn't know who else to turn to. Wait, Jason? She was trying to tell me she'd taken money from my account because he was struggling? The same Jason who sat on his ass all day playing video games and avoiding work? The one who didn't lift a finger to help with anything? My hands clenched into fists. You took my money to help Jason. I couldn't believe it. Jason? The guy who still lives in your house rent-free while I've been working 2 jobs for years just to get by? That's who you're taking money from me for. My mom's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Please, don't make a scene. No, don't tell me not to make a scene. I yelled, cutting her off again. You're taking my money without my permission. You're lying to me. And you expect me to just roll over and accept it? What kind of parent does that to their child? A heavy silence. Then Jason's voice chimed in. Dude, why are you being so dramatic? Just let it go. I was done. I hung up the phone without another word, my heart pounding. They didn't care. They didn't even understand what they'd done. At that point, I knew it was over. I was no longer playing their game. I couldn't change them, but I could make them feel the weight of their actions. And that's when the idea hit me. I wasn't just going to sit back and watch them keep taking from me. No, I was going to make sure they never did this again. The next day, I contacted my bank. I explained everything. I had them freeze that linked account. No more access. No more automatic withdrawals. I wasn't going to let my parents or Jason steal from me anymore. I filed a formal complaint detailing how they had violated my trust. And then I did something I'd never done before. I went completely no contact. No more phone calls. No more texts. No more rushing to their rescue. If they wanted to keep playing this game, I wasn't going to be their pawn anymore. But what I didn't know then was that things were about to escalate even further. I'd soon discover just how far they'd go to keep taking from me, and how far I was willing to go to make them face the consequences. It had been days since I'd gone no contact, and honestly, I'd never felt more at peace. No more guilt trips, no more manipulation, no more pretending to be okay with how they treated me. They had crossed a line, and for the first time, I wasn't running back to fix it. I thought I'd finally be able to relax. But of course, that was a pipe dream. My phone rang that morning. Blocked number. I groaned. I knew it was one of them. I didn't pick up. The voicemail was from Mom. I don't understand what's happening with you. You've always been so strong for us. Why are you shutting us out now? Jason needs you, and you're just abandoning your family. I know things have been tough, but you've always been the one to fix things. Please, I need you to fix this. Don't let this be the end of us. I listened to that message, and I felt nothing. No guilt. No urge to call her back. I was done. I blocked her number immediately, but I knew that wouldn't stop them. It was only a matter of time before they escalated things. Sure enough, 2 hours later, my phone buzzed again. Another voicemail, this time from Dad. I braced myself. This has gone too far. I don't know who you're listening to, but you're making a huge mistake. Jason's having a hard time. Okay? You think he doesn't deserve help? I'm not going to beg you, but we need you. This isn't how a family works. You're abandoning us, and I can't let you do that. It was the same old routine. The guilt, the drama, the manipulation. They'd always been so good at making me feel like I owed them something. And here they were, trying to twist everything into my fault. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I knew exactly what this was. They were trying to make me feel bad about my decision, make me question myself. They wanted me to break and go back to being their emotional and financial support. I wasn't going to be their punching bag anymore. Just after dinner, I got another message. This time from Jason. I could almost feel the eye roll forming as I opened it. Hey, you've really messed this up. Mom and Dad are upset. And now you're just going to ignore us? You've always been the one to fix things, and now you're just walking away? I don't know why you're doing this, but you're hurting the family. Don't you think you should step up? You've always helped before. What's changed? I stared at the message for a long time. He was really trying to guilt me into helping, just like Dad had. A flash of anger, quickly subdued. They had no right to ask for anything from me after everything they put me through. I decided to text back, not because I owed him an explanation, but because I was tired of them thinking they could manipulate me. Jason, this isn't about you anymore. It's about how I've been treated for years. You've always taken, never given. I've supported everyone else while I was struggling. I'm not your safety net anymore. I sent the message. I knew it would probably make him angry, but honestly, I didn't care. I needed to stand my ground. I sat back, feeling a brief sense of peace. It was quiet again, but that peace was short-lived. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with an email. From Dad again. The subject line read, "We need to talk." I opened it, not expecting much, but still feeling a familiar twinge of dread. I don't know what you're doing, but this can't go on. We've done everything for you. We gave you everything you needed, and now you're treating us like this? We're your parents. We deserve better than this. The words stung, but not for the reasons they thought they would. They didn't deserve better. They needed to face the consequences of their actions. I started typing a response, but stopped. No more explanations. No more guilt. I wasn't going to fall into that trap again. Instead, I forwarded the email to a friend and added a simple message. Just a reminder, don't let anyone tell you that you owe them. Ever. I could feel my blood boiling, but I held firm. Just as I was about to shut my phone off for the night, I received a call from Mom. I didn't answer. It kept ringing and ringing. I stared at the screen, a mix of anger and exhaustion washing over me. They weren't going to stop, but this time I was ready. I waited for the voicemail. When it finally came through, it was worse than I expected. You've pushed us too far now. You're really going to leave us to deal with everything on our own? Jason's been crying about this, and now your father is upset too. We've been nothing but good to you. This is what happens when you turn your back on your family. How could you do this? You're going to regret this one day. I felt the familiar twinge of guilt creeping in, but I shut it down quickly. I didn't owe them any explanations. They were playing the same game again, trying to make me feel responsible for everything. But I wasn't going to be manipulated again. I didn't respond. Instead, I blocked her number. Again, but I wasn't prepared for what came next. A few hours later, I received a message, not from them, but from a friend. They'd seen something online. It was a GoFundMe link claiming my parents were in financial trouble. According to the description, they'd had some sort of medical emergency and were asking for money. Again, the message from my friend read, "Is this true? I thought you were done with them." I opened the link and felt my stomach drop. The story was a blatant lie. It claimed my parents had been involved in a car accident and were in dire need of funds for hospital bills. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They were using the same tactics they had tried on me, but now they were trying to get strangers involved. They were once again playing the victim to get money. It made me sick. They hadn't even learned from the last time they tried to manipulate me. Now they were trying to use other people. I didn't know what to do, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let them win again. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about making sure they faced the consequences of what they had done to me and now to everyone else. I stared at my phone, the GoFundMe page still open. The story was so exaggerated, so full of holes. I couldn't believe anyone was buying it. But that's when it clicked. I needed to expose them for what they really were. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and I knew I'd probably lose any chance of reconciliation. But what they had done was too far. They had crossed a line, not just with me, but with every person they were trying to manipulate. I took a deep breath and began typing. "Hello, everyone. These people are my parents. The story about the car accident is completely fabricated. My parents are not in any medical emergency. They are not in any financial trouble. This is just another attempt to scam people into giving them money under false pretenses. I can't stand by and let them keep doing this to others. They've spent years taking advantage of me, making me feel guilty for their mistakes, while my brother was allowed to live rent-free and treated like the golden child. They've played the victim for so long that I've had enough. I'm cutting contact with them for good. Please don't donate to this page. Instead, take this as a reminder that not everyone who asks for help is being honest. I've been the one who's had to work 2 jobs to support myself while they sat back and took advantage. It's time to stop letting people like them get away with this." I paused before clicking send. I thought about the consequences. I thought about how they would react. But I didn't hesitate. It was time for the world to know the truth. I posted it immediately. The notifications flooded in. Comments, messages, shares. People were starting to see through the facade. The GoFundMe page was bombarded with negative comments, calling out my parents for their lies. Donations stopped pouring in, and within hours, the page was taken down for violating platform policies. I couldn't help but feel a small sense of relief. For once, I wasn't the one carrying the weight of their lies. The next morning, I woke up to a barrage of messages. Most were from friends, some offering support, others just shocked that I had exposed everything so publicly. But then there were the messages from them. "My parents, why did you do this? We raised you better than this. Do you have any idea what you've done? You're ruining everything." Jason even got involved, calling me up, furious. "Why are you doing this? Mom and Dad are in trouble, and you're just making it worse. They've always been there for you. You're tearing the family apart." I didn't even respond to their messages. I didn't need to. I'd already made my choice. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had control over my own story. I wasn't going to let them dictate my happiness anymore. I wasn't going to be their emotional punching bag, their scapegoat. I had done the right thing, and now it was time to move on with my life. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly, things started to fall into place. I was finally free. I focused on my career, spent time with friends who genuinely cared about me, and started living life the way I wanted to. As for my parents, they never reached out again. They probably never thought I'd have the guts to stand up to them, let alone expose them for what they really were. But I did. And honestly, I didn't care if I ever heard from them again. I had my peace, and that was all that mattered. So what do you all think? Was I wrong for exposing them, or did I finally take control of my own life? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.